Hello and welcome. My name is Baldeep Singh. I'm a barrister of England and Wales, and in today's video we'll be looking at domestic violence, particularly coercive and controlling behaviour, in light of the recent judgment of the High Court. Domestic abuse does not always leave visible scars, so detecting domestic abuse is sometimes very difficult. In this video, we'll be looking at some of the signs that you can look out for and also the new guidance that we've got from the High Court. In the recent case of F&M 2021, see link in the description box below for the full judgment, the proceedings had been lengthy, beginning in 2017, where procedurally it was very difficult, with Justice Hayden being the 16th judge to hear this case. I'll go straight to the guidance His Lordship gave. Justice Hayden highlights that there are no legal definitions in family law of coercive and controlling behaviour, and there is very little case law which sheds any light on its definition. So it's not surprising that the family courts have struggled to deal with such matters. His Lordship commented, "My strong impression, having heard this disturbing evidence in this case, that it requires greater awareness and I strongly suspect more focused training for the relevant professionals." The judge then turned to other sources for guidance to help define coercive and controlling behaviour. In criminal law, Section 76 of the Serious Crime Act 2015 created the offence of controlling and coercive behaviour in an intimate or family relationship, but did not define the behaviour in any context. However, it does set out the criteria of the offence to be met, in that the behaviour must be repeated and continuous and have a serious effect on the victim, which the perpetrator is aware of. Serious effect is defined as either causing fear on at least 2 occasions that violence will be used, or causing serious alarm or distress which has substantial adverse effect on the victim, usually day-to-day activities. The offence has a maximum penalty of 5 years imprisonment. His Lordship refers to the Home Office guidance published pursuant to Section 77(1) of the Serious Crime Act 2015, which sets out examples of behaviour which could be coercive and controlling in nature, which include isolating a person from their friends and family, monitoring their time, monitoring a person via online communication tools, or using spyware, or taking control over aspects of their everyday life, such as where they can go, who they can see, what they can eat, what they can wear, and when they can go to sleep. Depriving them access to support services, such as specialist support or medical services. Repeatedly putting them down, such as telling them they are worthless. Enforcing rules or activities which humiliate or degrade or dehumanize the victim. Forcing the victim to take part in criminal activity such as shoplifting, neglect, or abuse of children to encourage self-blame and prevent disclosure to authorities. Financial abuse, including control over finances, such as only allowing a person a punitive allowance, controlling their ability to go to school or place of study, threats to hurt, threats to kill, threats to harm a child, threats to reveal or publish private information, or threatening to out someone, preventing a person from having access to transport or from working. His Lordship also considered the family procedure rules under Practice Direction 12J, which helpfully set out definitions of coercive and controlling behaviour. In his judgment, His Lordship summarises it as follows. Coercive behaviour is a pattern of acts. Such acts will be characterised by assault, threats, humiliation and intimidation, but are not confined to this and may appear in other forms. The objective of these acts is to harm, punish or frighten the victim. Controlling behaviour is a pattern of acts designed to make a person subordinate or dependent, achieved by isolating them from their support groups, exploiting their resources and capacities for personal gain, depriving them of their means of independence, resistance and escape, and regulating their everyday activities. His Lordship emphasised that this type of abuse will often be tailored to the individual circumstances. For example, in this case, the father controlled the mother's food intake by only giving her part of his meals. His Lordship suggested that this list should be viewed as a checklist instead of an exhaustive list, and should then prompt questioning and inquiry by professionals involved. His Lordship clarified coercion will usually involve a pattern of acts encompassing, for example, assault, intimidation, humiliation and threats. Controlling behaviour involves a range of acts designed to render an individual subordinate and to corrode their sense of personal autonomy. Key to both of these behaviours is the appreciation of a pattern and a series of acts, the impact of which must be assessed cumulative rather than in isolation. On its own, each individual act may not cross the threshold of coercive and controlling behaviour, but when taken as a whole, it shows a pattern of behaviour, which is coercive and controlling in its nature. As the judge explains, it is crucial to emphasise that the key to this particular form of domestic abuse is the appreciation that it requires an evaluation of a pattern of behaviour in which the significance of isolated incidents can only truly be understood in the context of a much wider picture. In this particular case, the father portrayed himself as a victim to many professionals, including the police, which was unfortunately accepted by them. A perpetrator's ability to convince and persuade is of course what makes them so effective in carrying out this form of abuse. His Lordship went on to say that any professional involved in these types of cases must be alive to the clues, the hints, the indicators and the triggers in what people are reporting, which might stimulate wider forensic curiosity and precipitate investigation of greater subtlety and nuance. As the judge said in this case, broader professional education on the scope and the ambit of coercive and controlling behaviour is likely to generate alertness to abuse of this kind, to which frequently lies buried or is only superficially investigated. I hope this video helps to educate professionals, victims and members of the public so they can spot the signs for themselves to put a stop to this abuse. If you need help seeking the protection of the court, please get in touch.